Isaiah's solemn similitude, chapter 6. Now this is the book of the final generations of Adam, written in the eve of mere mortal man, appertains the day of trouble, just afore the time of the great grape harvest, when good and evil art of age ripened and ready to be reaped. Isaiah, a just man who in the latter days of the captivity of his people saw the signs of the times, through faith wrote by the books all that Yahweh El Shaddai had revealed unto him. And in thus doing wrote he also of this matter, the ancient controversy betwixt Yaakov and Esau, which is at the time of good and evil, when they reach final maturity at the consummation of the age. And, as thus were the eyes of mine Ruach opened by El, that from thence I would be enlightened, to see what must shortly take place at the end of the world. Appertaineth troublous times of great testing, in the days when Yehuda and Jerusalem are brought back from captivity, marking the end of this present age. And thus visions of woe and destruction appeared unto me, and I, Isaiah, of decreed captivity, saw dimly that which shall soon be. Yea, beheld I manifold oracles concerneth great mystery. Yea, saw I also visions of wonder and of much amazement, as they proceeded forth from out of the set-apart books which Yahuwah El Shaddai hadst revealed unto me. And lo, the words contained therein much puzzle me, even unto the overflow of an overwhelming onset of many waters, that which did sore trouble me. Wherefore Isaiah of decreed captivity, towards the very latter end thereof, wast granted skill and understanding by El, who hadst afore old-fashioned all things, even to the intent and purpose that man should seek and find him. Yahusha, who being the sole revealer of all deep mysteries, the sovereign and eternal El, who formed and fashioned man from the moistened dust of the ground, to breathe the breath of life as a living soul endowed with speech, that he wouldest declare with his tongue the truth, which is to converse therewith what I will likewise now speak, with a tongue of flesh, and with the fading breath which proceedeth forth from the lips of my mouth, concerneth all which I saw take place in a holy vision, appertaineth unto that which first came to pass in the inaugural term of Barak, President of America, during the first year of his reign, 10 years afore the first plague. Moreover, Isaiah put forth this, a solemn similitude, thus saying, Now concerneth the two books opened unto me. The black book is most holy, yea, most glorious. For it is desirable in that it is original, for therein containeth the matter of all things. As for the blessing of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, yea, considereth all things which appertaineth unto heaven, the earth, and all that therein is, existing underneath the earth, is that in all of the which the sons of men yearned and aspired to ascertain. For since the dawn of civilization hath it been the desire of man to have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, concerneth all which Yahweh El Shaddai hath preordained for his creation, namely, as for mankind, the earth, and the end thereof. Yet, unto only a mere residue from generation to generation hath the word, that which is written in the inward parts of man, yielded unto him the blessing of full strength. For it was when the earth was without, desolate or ruin, as having no mere mortal dwelling upon the face thereof, that a great and tumultuous commotion took place in the high heaven. And when this strong and most mighty shaking took place, an innumerable number of books came crashing down, yea, chiefly the white book and myriads who are a host of the same similitude. Thus the white book, crafted and designed as slight superior, as touching both prestige and rank in contrast with the other books, are they who followed also in the descent of this exceeding great celestial commotion, that which took place in the high heavens, and these are they who altogether are found full of all lies and deception, having none truth in them, not in the beginning, neither in the end, which quickly hasteneth, and shortly is for to come. Yet for thus cause, all the white books, who are fallen from their high habitation of the shelves, even of the high shelves which Yahuwah hadst handcrafted, are eternally known as the fallen books, they who art eternally banished. And thus it is in direct accord with the ways of their cunning content, deceitful dialogue, and their guileful genres, that there shall never be found place for them again therein, the prestigious library of truth. For entry back thereupon the most high shelves is eternally prohibited, and thus it is written in direct accord with the solemn command, that which the Most High hath perpetually decreed. Now it was when the sons of El left their primal origin, as in accordance with the process of due season, when Yahweh Adonai's creation of man began to multiply upon the face of the earth, and as daughters were born unto men, the corrupt ones initiated then followed suit in the fall and demise of the progeny of man. For in those days, likened unto a generation which was prophesied for to come, came it to fruition that this similitude of the infamous white book, all the unholy hosts of Halel's lies, art they which didst also do that which is not accordingly, and infiltrated they their evil information with the daughters of men. These art they which took fair and comely wives, each one of them of all whom they chose, according to the daughters which were found of them to be fair and comely. Moreover, as in the beginning when Cha, the mother of all living, saw the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and took to eat of the fruit of the forbidden tree, she in like manner followed suit as a partaker against wisdom, which doth belong exclusively unto the black book. This, the only book native unto Adam, whereas Yahuwah Mekodishkem called them both Adam, in the day wherein he blessed them and sanctified them upon giving the man, Adam, specific commandments regarding the prohibition of the tree, the forbidden tree which is of the knowledge of good and evil. And for thus cause, after Chua didst eat, and upon giving the fruit of the forbidden tree unto her husband, he, the man Adam, didst transgress the word of Elohim. Thus it was when Adam ate of the fruit of the forbidden tree, that the curse of partition didst invoke a covenant of spiritual death, even upon all generations. And for such cause hath history reoccurred, as in those days which also art of a certain man, the sixth from Adam, in the days when the sons of El came down from heaven and went in unto the daughters of men, taking wives, each one of them of all whom they chose, according to the daughters which they found to be fair and comely. Now afterwards, when the earth was full of both chaos and confusion, as when men began to greatly forsake the way of Yahweh, which being the only way unto him, that is to be interpreted by way of the black book, and all that which is written therein, it therefore came to pass that all which is therein written inwardly yielded no more the blessing of full strength. Yet in those days it came to pass first that Yahuwah found a remnant of righteousness, one who observed and hearkened unto his word, the black book, one not tainted, neither corrupted by their false counsel of perverted wisdom, the infiltration of evil information, that which tainted the souls of the children of men, wherewith polluted they the daughters of men, even as their children of sinister offspring filled the whole earth with all corruption and violence under the heaven. For in those days, as gross death, even as unto Sheol that which is underneath the earth, didst to overflow all the land round about, there went forth a decree which the Almighty, sovereign, and eternal Yahweh hadst proclaimed, pursuant against the children of fornication. These are they which art also of disobedience, as in accord with the dispensation of those days. This, the decree that Gabriel, one of the holy and honoured angels, shouldest in the same manner proceed against the bastards and against the reprobates, they together with the children of fornication. Therefore Yah's determination was touching the entire multitude which inhabited the whole face of the entire planet. For every man, woman, boy, and girl, all birds that soar, all beasts which graze, all that dwelt upon the face of the whole earth, was found corrupt before the sight of Yahuwah El Shaddai. And an ensuing deluge was as thus declared. Thus it came to pass, according to the process of time, that he made good on his word, and a great flood pursued everything under heaven, that it should die wherein is the breath of life found. As it is written, yet afore its fruition, El Yahuwah considered Noach, and the covenant which he wouldest make with Noach came before him, wherewith the righteous judge of all the earth in the process of time would establish therewith Noach, and with all living of future generations, that he lie not. For Noach was a righteous man, a man found perfect in his generations. For as Noach, not being corrupted in his ways, not by the tainting of blood, neither of genealogy, was found without having spot or blemish, thus set apart from all inhabitants of the entire land, these art they which were allotted to perish by reason of the exceeding great sin ascribed unto that unholy watcher. These also being his associates, which are reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day. And as thus altogether art they found eternally corrupted, wholly unholy before Yah's eternal eyes. This is to be interpreted wholly unholy afore all the heavenly hosts who kept their first estate. Moreover, and yea, truly, in those days there yet existed a righteous man, whose seed being preserved as an unblemished she-dove, as an olive branch plucked out of the drowning, in the which 8 souls were rescued in unto the ark of safety, and therefore of the same accord unto everlasting salvation. For Noach's ways were perfect and upright, according to all that which Yah has commanded of him. As thus it is written, Noach was a just man, perfect in his generations, and Noach walked with El. Now, in the beginning, as when the black book waste graven upon the heart of man, in the day wherein mere mortal Adam was formed from the moistened dust of the ground, the same was the covering given unto Adam. Adam, who passed it down unto Sheth, his son. Sheth, who replaced righteous Havel, his brother. Havel, he whose blood was shed by wicked Cain. This by reason of his testimony, wherewith Havel offered up a more excellent sacrifice unto Yahweh Adonai. Whereas Cain, being as unto his father, was as a kind of first tare among a host of wheat, as a type of first seed, mingled by hearkening unto sin's desire, in the which he was as unto a first tare, planted by an enemy, begotten of Satan, the destroyer. Thus unto him and his seed, as spoken by Adonai Yahusha, is ascribed the exceeding great sin of all the righteous blood, ever shed upon the earth, as it is written, then in the process of time, as in the very days of Noach, the 10th from Adam, when the wickedness of man's heart reached the fullness of fruition, the cup of iniquity had overflown as at a first time. And after Yah established instructions unto Noach, seeing their souls heeded not his warning of earth's coming destruction, which was by way of the impending flood of intolerable waters, yea, even upon much scoffing. Peradventure, whereas mockers in like manner thus didst, and yet again even as now do say, Thou art mad, knowest thou not that the heavens yieldeth forth no rain, nay, not in such abundance, nor as unto the overflow, yet sayest thou, Yahweh Adonai will consume utterly both man and beast from off the land, yea, and will make speedy riddance all living, whose breath is in his nostrils, for the whole entire world shall be consumed by a mighty, overwhelming deluge. Thus saith Yahweh, enter thou in unto the ark of safety, or yea, surely perish. Yea, surely it waste for such a cause as this, that none would find refuge in the day wherein Yahweh Tsevaoth hath determined that the wickedness of man's heart is beyond repair. Moreover, because the former sons of heaven and the daughters of men had crossed over to uncharted territory, none flesh was of redemptive virtue, save Noah and his family. For all flesh has become strange by reason of their much mingling one with another. And as for the fallen, their information of evil, the evil Ruachoth, which then was, as again now art, these beings, art also they which shall soon be made manifest, as they are to be made known in these days of the very soon coming scourge of overflowing, at the time when it shall pass through, and come in even nigh unto their dwelling. Therefore hearken ye unto mine speech, and be ye terribly astonished at this. For is it as thus? For naught written therein a certain place? For Yahweh shall rise up as in Mount Peratzim, he shall be wroth as in the valley of Givon, that he may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act. Now therefore be ye not mockers, lest your bands be made strong. For I also have heard from Adonai Yahuwah Tsevaoth a consumption, even determined upon the whole earth. Isaiah's Holy Vision. Chapter 7, The Burden of Desolation, the book of the vision of Isaiah, who was numbered among the captives of the land, where the virgin daughter of Babel doth stand liberally as elect lady, where the inglorious pride of the Chaldeans' excellency exalteth her as widowless queen, there in that great city of her many fallen idols, one of which stood solitary in the midst of many waters. Isaiah, a chosen and elect witness of Yahweh Adonai, to whom the word of Yahweh was revealed in the days of Barak. Came it to pass again in the days of his successor unto the 4th year of Joseph, presidents of America. Thus, the mystery of El shall be revealed in the days of the sound of the last trump, when it shall begin to be heard. For in those days the mystery of El would hath likewise been finished. Moreover, this is the sovereign word of El Yahuwah, which came unto Isaiah, therein the dispersion of promise, thus saying, Thus speaketh Yahuwah Adonai of Yasharel, saying, Write thee all that I have revealed unto thee in a book, write the vision, and make it plain upon paper, that whosoever readeth of thee would run with fear. That is the prophecy concerneth thee. For the vision, yet for the time appointed, hath now come, where thou shalt now speak and not lie. Though I tarried, wait for me, for I shall not tarry, I shall delay no longer. Thus it came to pass during the last week of the month, which were in the final days of the year, just afore times of new beginnings, as I was seated upon my bed, the books were opened, and from thence saw I visions of desolation. Upon the 25th day of the 10th month, which is the month Tevet, during the inaugural term of Barak, in the 1st year of his reign, I, Isaiah, have decreed captivity, perceived by the sacred books the number of the years, whereof the word of Yahweh came expressly to the prophet Daniel, that his people would accomplish 490 years in much suffering and in great affliction, scattered in chains abroad the 4 winds of the earth, as slaves a second time therein the destitution of Mitzrayim, but the hand of Yahuwah was strong upon me there. Now, in those days, none had any understanding of what had become of me, for mine activities had to do with the sacred books, and with them were the sum of my days in seclusion well spent. Yea, for I waste wholly engaged, as I sought the end thereof, and as touching my generations, waste there any with me to uphold the understanding thereof. For what I saw in those days appertained the end of all flesh, which being not for very many days thence, and as for mine appetite, it utterly failed, and I couldst eat no pleasant bread, neither did meat, wine, nor didst any strong drink enter thitherto mine mouth. Nay, not until the number of days and the visions thereof the set apart week were, yea, wholly consummated. As for my soul was I grieved as unto death, and mine ruach vexed as unto the depths of Sheol. Therefore anointed I myself with fragrant olive oil as to be embalmed, thus departing from the terror which hadst overtaken me, even as birth pangs come suddenly upon a woman soon to be delivered of all her children. And for such cause diminished I to mere naught, and drifted I away unto a time of great tribulation, yet not for a remote generation that which was prophesied for to come, but yea indeed for this final one. Then lifted I mine eyes to see, and behold, there was a book, upon which was an inscription written, the word of El. Thus sought I diligently, and yea, whiles I sought knowledge, wisdom, and understanding concerneth the end of the matter, which foremost piqued the zeal of mine intrigue. Yea, it was whiles yet seeking that, behold, another book waste opened unto me. Therein was this message inscribed, that which symbolically is to be interpreted, the mystery of Elohim revealed, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. Yea, sought I diligently the end of the matter, and yea, whiles yet comparing earnestly the pages of the two open books, the eyes of mine ruach were opened by El, that I should behold visions of these great and terrifying wonders. Therefore came it to pass shortly thereafter, whiles the watcher appointed over mine well-being and I were yet speaking, that the word of Yahweh spake unto me as at the first time, thus bidding me to behold a great and wondrous marvel, thus saying, Look outside thy window. And as thus walked I towards the window, looking down thitherward for to see, yea, stood I near the window, looking down from the lofty view of mine high abode, and I, Sab-Aya of decreed captivity, considered as I saw in a terrifying vision by day, two great beasts, yea, even most terrible to behold, for lo, possess they the appearance of ravenous wolves, yet walk they erectly, as having the posture of an upright man. The two great beasts hadst hairs upon them, which were as the dark and gloomy sky covering the earth, as afore their torrential former and latter rain. Their teeth and claws were sharp, likened unto the edge of a razor, and their eyes were red, yea, even redder than that of crimson. Lo, and behold, saw I both beasts, breaking into what appeared unto me in those days as a locked vehicle, as though their intent were to seize the great dominion, as to see who wouldest flee, possessing in hand the glorious spoil locked in the vehicle therein. For both beasts hadst in hand bashing instruments, which were as unto their quest for the iron sceptre. Thus considered I the first and second beast, as they shattered into pieces the glass of the locked vehicle, that which was in the midst of the lot thereof. And yea, verily, they were carnally carnivorous and dangerously defiant, both in nature and of law, and for such cause, even as when I first beheld them, I say I of decreed captivity, waste exceeding sore afraid. Then turned I unto the watcher over my well-being for solace, and to confirm, as to inquire on account of the sighting, whether it was seen as simultaneous, same, or even of similar sorts. Notwithstanding the watcher appointed over my well-being with great perplexity, as thus said unto me, I see not what thou hast seen. For I, Isaiah, alone saw the vision. Now, whether which of the beasts succeeded as to prevail and take the glorious spoil of the locked vehicle, that which whilst in the midst of the lot thereof, at that time I knew not, nay, neither hadst I any understanding. For the vision was yet for the time appointed, though not very many days thence. Moreover, it came to pass, during the latter days, which were in the week, towards the month's latter end, about a short space afore the sixth and final hour, a woman of great mystery, who waste unveiled afore me, as an outsider, standing betwixt the lintel of the door and the posts thereof, and as thus she didst bear a wondrous message of what I canst only describe to be exceeding great sin. For I alone didst hear the loud and thunderous knock at the door of my indwelling, thus hastened I to answer. And yea, I alone did see upon opening another marvel, yea, greater and ever more wondrous to behold. For that which was unveiled afore me was the Lady of Kingdoms. For she stood before me adorned as a woman of business, yea, most prominently over political administration. Though as a widow in bereavement, as one mourneth the loss of their many unfaithful lovers, yet as without guilt appertaineth the atrocity of his unjust murder. As for her visage of darkness, yea, she was veiled as blameless, yea, even concerneth that great crime committed against the elect of El, namely, the great crime committed against the children of the kingdom, they who, as for a moment, were dismembered from the body of the bridegroom. For thus beheld I the woman who waste appointed over great mystery, she who is not guiltless, for yea, verily there upon her hands art stained the blood of multitudes of many innocent men, yea, even stained with the slain, the blood of El's little ones, just as in the days of the martyrdom, that atrocious act which she committed against the bridegroom's body, for these are all they who are to be beheaded of her. And lo, considered I this, the inscription of exceeding great sin, which written upon her forehead thus revealeth, as in the interpretation thereof, one of several severe sentences, which art malignant maledictions of great blasphemy. For it is as thus written, yea, most notably, not a mystery, America the Great, the mother of whoredoms, and abominations of the earth. Yea, when I beheld her and this message of exceeding great sin inscribed upon her forehead, I was filled with much fear, and I also wondered greatly, though not from afar off, hadst I limited understanding of knowledge, appertaineth unto whom she truly was. Thus it came to pass in the same instance that I slammed the door in her face, only to behold, upon the immediate reopening thereof, the woman gone scarce from out of mine sight. After this came it to pass, about the midst of the week, even as morning didst break forth, the hand of Yahuwah, which waxed strong upon me therein the dispersion of promise, and he led me away from out of mine high abode. For I was in the Ruach Yahweh at that time, from whence he led me away, and he has thus opened mine eyes to behold two temples, and thus they were devoid, as having none worshipping therein. Thus he caused me to approach by them at the entry of the gates, which encompassed them, each temple round about, and behold, both were empty, as in the open vision. And lo, the streets thereof were left also as an utter waste. And thus I saw in closer focus the abundance of iniquity, as a cup which hast fully overflown throughout the earth. Yea, as for iniquity's cup which was issued upon the streets thereof, decreed captivity, I saw and beheld the earth, the world, even all they that do dwell therein, appear unto me as a desolate wilderness, fully void and bereft, having none righteousness within. For in those days, even at that very time, throughout the earth, saw I laid what was as a severe execration, likened unto the days and time which were prophesied, and hath as now in fullness come. Thus came it to pass, even in those days, goodness which waste utterly scarce in the earth. For such cause beheld I the certain number of El's elect, which went in unto their place of safety, as a residue of his holy ones were taken also out of the way, thus leaving the wicked and lawless behind. And so walked I in the desolation of decreed captivity, seeing chaos and confusion everywhere, even each place I went. Yea, verily travelled I to and fro, and as I sought, behold, the souls of the former sons of men. For they were transformed as unto the conformity of the beast, as they were also in his very image and express likeness. Thus sought I continually for answers in the brisk and barren streets, yet saw I puddles of the blood of the dead laid upon the sidewalks in the stead thereof. This carnage and confusion of madness was the very vexation of the ruach of the souls of men, and as the gloomy darkness was inescapable, light was nowhere to be found. Therefore travelled I far from home, but the further I went, the murkier mine destiny seemed, for the whole earth waste filled with much weeping and great sorrow. Yet I made it to my destination, and though the streets had grown colder, the craze for killing did also intensify infinitesimally, yea, incrementally so. Now, upon reaching my destination, I was unable to gain entry, for access beyond the temple's gates were eternally locked. Thus I was left cold, hungry, scared, and yea, hopeless. And as reality set in, with a surety I knew the Shabbat had passed, and that I was stuck on an earth where desolations were to be determined, and though I could not regain entry, as the Kodashim, who once worshipped therein, are now taken, yet again art as no more, I was still determined to get further explanation on account of the missing. However, was I in certain unawares concerneth this, the mystery of the missing? For it waste that which was the very desolation of righteousness, that which rendereth many souls slain in the streets, even as the very byproduct thereof. Moreover, I departed north, and upon sojourning faintly east, arrived I at the central gates of the second temple, this, that which being more desirable thereunto mine eyes. Thus shook I the gates again, yea, with hopes of acquiring access beyond the gates thereof. Yet again mine efforts availed as naught, for surely as the street had become an utter desolation, so too were both temples. And concerneth what shall take place at the appointed time, saw I all these things, that it would again come to mind, as a sign, and yea, even for a great wonder in accordance with the process of the vision. For the vision was yet for a time appointed, in the very latter days, not very many years thence. And yea, verily, after visions of woe and destruction were accomplished, which was at the very last day of weeks, the watcher appointed over mine well-being escorted me in unto an inner room of what was as a central throne, wherein there was a seat as having one who possessed great power. Now once presented afore one whose likeness was as unto the similitude of the son of Adam, gave I my account before him, he whose countenance was fierce as being fully discerning of both good and of evil. Thus the watcher appointed over mine well-being spake with him privily, after which entered I before his presence. And lo, I then spake alone as afore, he who appeared in the stead, as in the likeness and as unto the similitude of the son of Adam, to give my report. Declared I unto him, yea, even as to declare the beginning of the thing, which I saw from its ending. Expressly, visions shown unto me concerneth this very carnage and confusion, which is now come upon the face of the whole earth. Thus with an open ear of attentive hearing, listened he, and as unto hearkening considered he, the report of the two great beasts. The beasts which proceeded forth, as these are also, they which art in their very likeness, and art conformed, and becometh their very spawn. Now, as thus considered he, whiles with an ear of attentive hearing, the blood of the slain, the darkness that overtook all, yea, even the entirety of all the world, which in those days being each and every inhabitant of earth's habitations, moreover, I say I of decreed captivity, spake certain severe sentences, where in those days were certainly considered severe, dark speeches. Expressly, one of several which, as abhorrently spoken, has twice rendered mine watcher as utterly slain. In the high place, sacrilegious, sacrificial, high worship shall be seen, for, as in the Ivri tongue, this is that which is the very interpretation thereof, Barak Bama. For as much as in the utterance of plain speech, yea, twice said I, Barack Obama is the Antichrist. Thus, it was said, during the days of Barak's inaugural term, during the first year of his reign. He who is for to reign, as with the mind of Pharaoh Necho, king of Mitzrayim, as shall be again over the entire realm of America, yet this time with the heart of a fierce king, yea, even reigning over the whole entire world. Yet, like King Necho of Mitzrayim, soon to meet his final destruction at his utter end in the valley, which is of decision, as in that day that hath already been decided. For in that day the revelation of Adonai Yahusha HaMashiach will be made manifest at his glorious appearing, according to the fulfillment of all that which is written. Then spake I appertaineth unto the 144,000 sealed of El, and of the new heaven and new earth, that which shall descend from the Abba of lights. Thereafter his Son's glorious day has been accomplished. Thus the austerity of the man's countenance grew greater in grace and in solemnity, even by reason of knowing that the day of the great judgment truly is near, even as now very nigh at hand. And though I then knowing not, neither having fullness of understanding, the vision was as thus declared, and in exact manner established, for the time of the judgment of that great day lingereth not. Nay, neither the judgment upon the souls of all men which draweth even nearer. Yea, it hasteneth to the end, with a surety even closer than when first believed. And it came to pass at the expiration of the very final day, as with the year of new beginnings drawing merely hours, yea, closely nigh at hand, yea, came it to pass that I of decreed captivity, was captured by the powers that be, and thus delivered in unto what was as a chamber that containeth many rooms, for I was urgently professing and proclaiming this, the burden of the word of Yahuwah, which is in direct accord with the message of his acceptable year of the divine visitation, which soon draweth closely nigh unto the souls of all men. Now in the chamber of many rooms, wherein there was much turmoil and confusion, there were also head physicians, and came there certain of they who began to inquire of me on account of mine testimony. For one of them spake and asked, by reason of thy account of the 2 open books, why makest mention of them by merit of colour? And from whom hast thou gotten such mixed messages? Now, as thus proclaimeth I, the messages are not mixed. Yea, truly, the 2 books shall cohabitate within a seething pot. They shall be brought to a raging boil, yet the pages of one shall stay intact, and the contents written therein shall in no wise be altered, neither diminished, for they shall refuse to mix, neither shall the amalgamation of their close proximity tarnish the first book, nor its authenticity. Yet, as for the other, it shall be burned, and the pages thereof shall wither to ashes, for the truth shall stand, even as the Ivri boys didst too stand, and in the presence of the fiery flames, when, lo, the 4th one in the midst thereof, yea, even as the Adon, Yahusha HaMashiach himself didst appear unto the fire's flames with them, didst righteousness ultimately prevail, thus so also shall my words be that now proceedeth forth from out of mine mouth. And it shall come to pass that Esau, his books, and his dominion shall come to an utter end. The pages therein and thereof shall be covered in shame, For the great librarian of Yaakov's library shall recover the stolen possessions from Esau and his shelves, which doth comprise the foundation of lies. Each and every book found stuck there upon the shelves of Esau's library of lies shall be for stubble. The true children of Yehuda and of Yasharel as one flame that proceedeth forth from the mouth of Adonai Yahusha HaMashiach, which shall kindle it. And from thence shall none part thee, for that which hath been done is that which is meet. For lo, the days come, and now already are, wherein not every fleshly being that walketh upright be human, and the book of truth shall be last of importance. As is so already, thus shall Esau say, all books matter, and they shall continue to do wickedly against El's elect, though for a short space. Then when Yahweh cometh on that day of darkness, for to thoroughly plead our cause, yea, concerneth his pleasant and goodly heritage, Yasharel shout the nations which do only always wholly oppress against us, and calumniate pride against the glory of his greatness, be held accountable in the valley of Yisrael in that day of decision, which hath already been decided. For their repayment of restitution is as dung. For lo, upon the head of that eagle and her confederates shall Yahweh Ruachoth render back their recompense of injustice, yea, that which is meet. Now it was after this similitude was symbolically said in solemnity that Isaiah was cast into what is as unto an even greater chamber, yea, for another space, even as unto cyclical editions, which touching recurrence, art unto eschatological weeks. And thus is the testimony I say ear of decreed captivity alone doth bear. For there is now left none remaining of the progeny of men that waste there with me, as faithful witness. For the watcher appointed over mine well-being did take flight, yea, even days afore the evening oblation, which is to be interpreted, the days when sacrilegious images rendereth forth the just recompense, the provocation of his offering, as a typological shadow of this very soon coming abomination of desecration, and as thus concludeth the last week, in accordance with that which was seen in the final days of weeks and of months, 10 years afore the first